What's up, everybody? We're going to talk about things that are in your bag. Got one of these things, little rocket ship for my bag. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about what's in my bag, and I guess what started the topic was simply I'm traveling. I am coming to you from Milan, Italy right now, so you might hear some noise right outside the apartment here that we have rented right on one of the canals. I'm pretty sure they party all night long, all day long here, so getting sleep has been quite interesting. But everybody, hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world watching. But as a photographer who travels and shoots all over the world, getting my stuff in a bag is very important. Being able to get it on a plane is very important, and being able to have the gear I need when I need it also very, very important. So what do I travel with? How am I most efficient as we're traveling around the world working? What's like must-have items? So we're gonna cover all that real quick, but I do hope you're doing well, and let's get to it. So one of the, I think, unsung heroes in any photographer's bag is just a way of cleaning the sensor. Even if you're using, you know, the cameras today, they have like sensor clean when they turn off. All that is doing is just kind of really rattling the sensor, trying to shake off dust, but it really doesn't get it off. And they over the years, they've had things where there's solutions. Don't do that. Let a professional clean the sensor using a wet solution. Most of the time, we just want to get dust off. And so this is by, I can't even pronounce it. It's like Giotto or something like that. It just looks like a little rocket ship. Me and Alyssa call it our pocket rocket, which, you know, has perverted undertones, which is fine. But we use this to clean it. And what you're going to do, just real quick, and I know that's not the point of this video, is just you're going to go into your camera, and there's usually a section. I'm using a Canon R5, and almost all the Canons have it. I would say it's not a Canon thing, it's probably all of them, called sensor cleaning, and it is in the gear menu number 4, or the wrench menu number 4. It's called sensor cleaning. It's going to say clean now, which would automatically clean it. We want to clean manually, and what that's going to do is open up that sensor and expose it. You should see right there, trying to get you to see it. And then you're just gonna take this, and I do it upside down, because like if you're doing it into here, where's the dust going? You're just spraying it in the air and it's coming back down. So I tend to do it this way. Just give it a couple of big bursts, and that's usually all you gotta do. Then turn the camera off, closes, and you're protected again. So this is definitely worth having, not very expensive. Back in the day, we used to use canned air, which was probably one of the worst things we could do, because with canned air, if you spray it right, it fires out. Sometimes it's that, like, it's not Freon. I think Freon's illegal at this point. But it sprays out some wet stuff, and it's never good when wet stuff just sprays out. But it would get on your sensor, and it wasn't good for it. So this is really a good thing that you can travel with as well. It's just random bells going off outside. I don't know if you can hear them. All right, so what am I traveling with when we are traveling? One of the most important things is a full sensor SLR. Whether you're using a digital SLR, whether you're using, well, if you're using, I'm not talking about film, I'm talking about mirrorless, or if you're using kind of, you know, still using a mirrored camera, which I don't know why you'd be on that. It's time for an upgrade, but you want to have something that's full frame. And so for me, it's an R5. That's my workhorse camera. You know, I was talking to someone the other day, and they were like, you know, cameras are overheating, and I can't believe you would recommend this camera. I've had this in rotation in my business. Myself and my wife use the R5 for everything. I'm filming on an R5 right now. Never had a problem with these things overheating. So guys, you know, everything's within reason. So just because people post stupid shit, I'm not saying they don't overheat, but I've not had that problem, right? And so I think the overheating problem is if you're filming 4K 120 on a 90 plus degree day, and you're doing it for extended periods of time. For the average wedding portrait photographer, you're not gonna have any problems with the camera overheating. And you got like 40 some odd megapixels. That's why I like these images to travel with. All right, now what you really care about, lens selection. And so I've got all my lenses out in front of me, and this is what I'm traveling with when I'm traveling on the road. Now, these conversations are always quite interesting because you see photographers that get all bent out of shape because I'm showing expensive lenses. And I really don't know why you would get bent out of shape at what I use. This is what I use. I am a photographer. I want to master my craft. The glass you use, the tools you use in your trade are very, very important. So I don't know why you would, if you can't afford it, buy what you can afford, but don't knock photographers out there, whether in your local market or myself, who are using more expensive lenses. I mean, we're using the best that we have available to us. So I'm not gonna dumb it down. This is what I use and this is what I am teaching you guys on. It's what I actually use. Again, I'm by no means gear shaming you. Go buy what you can afford. My advice to you would be buy the best you can afford. So as somebody who's been doing this for 15 plus years as a working professional, this is what I do for a living. For somebody who's been doing it for that amount of time, here's the mistakes I made early on in my career. 50 millimeter is a perfect example. So this is the RF 50 millimeter f1.2. And early on in my career, this is a $2,000 plus lens. Early on in my career though, I bought the $400 version of it and it was plastic and did not stand up to the wear and tear. And eventually I had to go buy it again, except now spend more money. So my advice to anyone out there is buy it used. Don't be afraid to buy used glass. The company warranties it. If anything's wrong with it, you can always send it in there for calibration. But one thing that will happen is by buying it used or just buying the right lens, one, you're gonna stop yourself from spending twice, right? So it'll actually be cheaper in the long run. And glass will last truly a lifetime. Obviously, when I upgraded to the mirrorless system, I had to upgrade my glass. But prior to that, I was on the Canon, 5D Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, Mark 4, right? But my lenses lasted with me for 10 plus years. So lenses to me are always well worth the investment. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so where do we start? I'm a big believer in prime glass. I love prime glass. The look, there's less moving parts in the lens when it's prime. When you have a zoom lens, there's more moving parts, more things that can go wrong, just things like that. So for crisp, clear images, I love our prime lenses. And so first one up, prime 50 millimeter f1.2. Then I use that when I have like 2 or 3 people in a frame that I'm photographing. The 50 millimeter is perfect. If I'm doing solo portraits or I can pull back a lot, I'm going to use the RF 85 millimeter 1.2 as well. All of this is L series glass because it's their pro glass, and it is visibly different. So if you're thinking to yourself, man, do I really need the top of the line, the red line glass? Do I need that? Can I tell the difference? The answer is yes, right? So if you get like a 1.8 or 2.0 lens and compare that to a 1.2 red line lens, it looks different. It really, really does. I know that's not what you want to hear. I know it's not what your wallet wants to hear, and it's probably not what your significant other wants to hear, but it's truth. So maybe you can clip that little piece and be like, Sal said, right? Sorry. 85 millimeter. Continuing on with primes, recently Canon came out with the 100 RF, and so we picked that up. We picked up the RF, and that's absolutely beautiful. I'm actually doing a few. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to see photo shoots where we're using the gear. And actually, after I film this, I'm going into 3 different photo shoots. So make sure you click subscribe below, and you'll get notifications when we release those videos. Next up, now we're going to get into more the telephoto or zoom lenses. And this is where you've got the Holy Trinity sitting in front of me. So here I'd use the Canon 1535 f2.8, right? So now we're going from 1.2 to 2.8. And so you're going to have a 3-stop difference there, 3 or 4 stop difference, 1.2, 1.8, 2. I always forget once I get below 2.0 what the full stops are. But you've got several stops alike difference between 2.8 and 1.2. Not only that, the bokeh depth of field is going to look a lot different between 2.8 and 1.2, right? So again, another reason I like that. But these are lenses that I'm using where I can go wide and tight on a zoom. So we've got the 2.8 15-35. We've got the f2. Now this is a new lens that Canon produced. It used to be the 24-70. So if you're on the DSLR non-mirrorless system, the 24-70 is what you're going to be using. Of course, I'm talking about Canon. But with the RF series, they came out with a 28-70 f2. And so this thing, I'm telling you, is a beast, right? So if you just get a sense of that, this thing is an absolute beast of a lens. It's heavy, okay? So if you're considering adding this, just know it's a heavy lens. It's beautiful at f2, but you're paying the price in weight. So just keep that in mind compared to like the 15-35. It's probably not double, man, but it's close in weight. I should probably look that up, but it feels close. And then of course, last but not least, one of my favorite lenses, the 7200 2.8. Now, in the previous lenses, right, it didn't zoom in and out this way. It didn't retract. It didn't retract. So I like this form factor. It's short, kind of bulky, but I like it. It fits in the bag better, you know, because now this will actually fit straight down in your bag, whereas before the 7200 you had to lay on its side. So, you know, from that perspective, I really do like it. And that is it. So tell me, what is your favorite lens? Let me know down in the comments. Do you have a favorite that's your go-to? If I had to tell you what my favorite was, the one I use the most, there's two lenses I use the most of. It is the 7200 and the 85-1.2. So what are your favorite lenses that you're using when you're shooting, right? Now, don't get me wrong, these other lenses I'm using throughout a wedding day or on a portrait shoot, but they're not my go-to, you know? So, and it sucks because glass is expensive, I get it. And you think to yourself, man, do I really need all this stuff if I'm only using it, you know, for certain shots? The short answer is you do, right? I mean, I could photograph a wedding probably with one lens. Any professional photographer probably could do that, right? You're moving your body back and forth and composition will look different. But if I want the most diversity when I'm done on a wedding day, that's why I want all this glass. So if you're just getting started out, don't feel the pressure of going, I gotta add all this glass, or I'm not a professional. That's not true, okay? So, you know, if I'm starting out, what I would do is my first lens as a portrait photographer would be the 7200. That's gonna give you the most diversity. And then as you can start adding to glass, I'd look to a prime, and I'd probably look to either the 85 or 50 as a secondary lens. And then as you can add to your arsenal, that's when I'd start building out the holy trinity, so to speak. I'd add the 2870 and the 15-35 so you can get some of those big, wide portraits. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do and want to see more photography related videos and photo shoots, things like that, make sure you subscribe. Give me a little like, you know, smash that like button. Subscribe and set up notifications, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.